Patrick Brown's book signing is just wrapping up. He has been signing dozens and dozens of his book that is just hitting the bookshelves today. It's called Takedown, the attempted political assassination of Patrick Brown. And of course, it is detailing in great detail his version of events after he feels he was betrayed by people in his inner circle after allegations of sexual misconduct forced him to resign as PC leader and dashing his hopes to become the next premier. 311 pages. He names names, and I said to him as I sat down with our one-on-one interview earlier today, politics is called a blood sport, and he's elevated this to the Game of Thrones level. The question is this going to hurt him in the long run politically?
To suggest that there was any friendship lost, I think, would be a stretch.
But now they seem to be united against you, in an even stronger way.
You wouldn't have
perhaps
believed how vicious they were in the municipal campaign, setting up third-party PACs, actively sending staff and campaign managers to support my opponent in this civic election.
I remember against Linda Jeffrey.
And so it was as vicious as you can imagine. But at the end of the day, the people opted for a different approach. Let me say this: it's in Doug Ford's self-interest to invest in Brampton. He has seats here. If you want to stay as
only a couple.
If you want to become premier or prime minister, you need to win seats in the 905. You need to win seats in Brampton. Tell me the last premier or prime minister who won a majority government without winning seats in Brampton.
But do you think this book will hurt Brampton?
No, because it's in Doug Ford's self-interest if he wants to stay in power to deliver. And frankly, I think where Doug Ford, the day after the municipal election, canceled the university in Brampton, Markham, and Milton, and his cold shoulder to Brampton might have disappointed many. The reality is most municipal projects are funded one-third, one-third, one-third. And one of the first phone calls I got after that was from the Prime Minister, who said that he's open to helping, he's open to being of assistance and to send us what Brampton's needs are. And so,
is that politics too? Because there's no love lost between him and Doug Ford.
Well, what's ever happening there, the fact that we have a federal government who seems to be increasingly interested in helping Brampton, I'll take as a good sign. And I hope that over time the provincial government will also be more mature and appreciate the need to support Brampton's needs on transit, on education, and health care.
And you can watch the entire uncut interview on citynews.ca. Now, Patrick Brown is leaving shortly. He's just going to a Christmas tree lighting ceremony at Brampton City Hall. But coming up, Francis D'Souza and I, we're going to talk about what's in this book.
Political specialist Cynthia Mulligan joins us again. Cynthia, you've been reading through Patrick Brown's new tell-all book, Takedown. You actually talked to Patrick Brown himself today. Let's start with his demeanor and his tone. How did he look to you today?
I thought he looked quite confident. I thought that, when I interviewed him at Queen's Park when he was the PC leader, he was always running around, so it was sort of hard to talk to him, and particularly since all of the allegations surfaced against him and he stepped down in January. He seemed very confident. He seemed very relaxed. He's married now to his girlfriend, and he seems happy. He's very excited to take on the mayoralty of Brampton, and he said he really wants to fight for a part of Ontario that doesn't have enough hospitals, doesn't have enough transit, and he seems very dedicated to that right now.
And during your questioning of Patrick Brown today, you pointed out scenarios that he himself has criticized in the past about himself. So how did he seemingly address that kind of criticism about his book?
Well, he's deflected it, really. I mean, he thinks that Vic Fedeli has gotten away with something that he himself was accused of doing and suffered a huge penalty for, and he thinks that Vic Fedeli has escaped unscathed from that, and he questions whether or not there's actually been an investigation. So listen, he's mad. This is, Fran, like a settling of scores. It's 311 pages of just getting even with people that he feels betrayed him, and two of the top names are Lisa MacLeod and Vic Fedeli, who are both in Doug Ford's cabinet.
Is this helping, or will this hurt his political aspirations?
You know, the best line that I've heard, and I'm sorry, I don't know who said it, is it's supposed to be an assassination, but it ends up being a suicide. You know, we'll have to wait and see. Certainly when I was at Queen's Park yesterday talking to people in the Conservative, well, in all areas of government, people weren't thinking that this was a very good idea and that it would hurt Brampton because Doug Ford might take it out on Brampton. Patrick Brown disputes that. He says that Doug Ford will not be able to ignore him. But long term, I don't know. I really don't know if this will do him more harm politically than good. He certainly is an incredible rallier for elections. I mean, he is quite brilliant at getting votes and getting the votes that he needs and reaching people. But will it hurt him? Has he isolated himself? Is he now on his own island and nobody's going to want to touch him while Doug Ford is premier because they'd be concerned about his wrath? That's a distinct possibility.
All right. Cynthia, thanks for joining us. And the full interviews with Patrick Brown are on our website, citynews.ca.